I've been meaning to make this video for a while now. So, how COVID-19 made me a vegetarian? This question is kind of scary because it's kind of clickbaity. People might think that, oh my god, the virus is gonna make me a vegetarian now, la 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 la. No. Disclaimer, before I continue, I'd just like to say that I am not a professional. I simply had COVID-19 and I'm just giving my personal experience with the virus. For any and all professional advice, please see your primary care doctor, or if it's a medical emergency, go to the emergency room. And for any and all outdoor activities or any inquiries, please make sure to follow the CDC guidelines and directions. In October 2020, I contracted COVID-19. I started to realize that I may have had contracted COVID when I saw that my taste and smell had been, gradually disappearing, gradually going away. It's just, I could tell the intensity was diminishing. That was the word, diminishing. I could tell that I was not able to smell the smells that I used to smell, and with the intensity that I was able to smell them before. And then with the smell came taste. Everything started to taste bland. Everything started to taste the same. It kind of just all tasted like mush. I noticed that maybe sugary things were a little bit more tasty than other things, and salty, but salty things were also tasty. But other than that, almost nothing. It just had a bland, unique taste and texture. It wasn't until late October that I finally had recovered from the virus. Thankfully, my symptoms were very mild, but again, I wanna clarify and emphasize that, COVID-19 hits everyone differently. There have been doctors and athletes who are super healthy, super cognizant of their health, and they've had the virus and they've had the need to get double lung transplants or have actually passed away. So I'm just sharing my personal experience, and thankfully my personal experience was very mild. My symptoms, so my first symptoms, like I said before, were loss of taste and loss of smell. Those were my main symptoms. And the other symptom that I kind of knew that I was sick was congestion. I had really bad nasal congestion and sneezing, and I thought it was allergies at first, but then when I developed my loss of taste and loss of smell, that's when I started to, fear that I might have contracted COVID-19. Anywho, in late October, I recovered from the virus. I got my second or third, I think, PCR exam, and I tested negative, thankfully, and everything was fine. It took me about a month, so in around mid-November. So I contracted the virus in October. Late October, I recovered from the virus, and then mid to late November, which is my birthday, mid to late November, I actually started to recover my sense of smell and sense of taste. I started being able to distinguish different taste profiles. Everything was going well, everything was going smoothly. I was very happy that my taste and smell had, shown signs of coming back. In mid to late January, I started to smell something so rotten and fetid and just foul that I thought it was me. I thought it may have been body odor, or I thought it may have just been my imagination, or what have you. And it turns out that what had actually happened was that I was suffering a sequela of COVID. Now, sequela, literally sequel -a, sequela. There's no hyphen, just put a hyphen. Sequela is what it sounds like. It's a sequel to any virus, disease, pathology that you've had that develops over time. Because COVID-19 is such a novel thing, we don't really know what other sequelas could be happening or could happen in the future. But one that has been long documented and studied in patients who have had blunt trauma damage or olfactory nerve damage is actually parosmia. And parosmia literally means paranormal smell or distorted smell, was what I was experiencing. In my case, I started to notice it with Cuban coffee. I live down here in Miami, Florida, and Cuban coffee is a big thing for us. Every morning my mom makes some coffee, and it used to smell amazing, but now, now, alongside coffee, chicken, meat, certain types of beans like lentils, certain chips, actually Doritos, Cheetos, any and all like fast foods that I used to indulge in and enjoy, I can't stomach. I can't smell, or I mean I can smell them, but I can't stomach the smell, and I can't stomach the taste. And it's been difficult. It's been difficult. In the grand scheme of things, I'm very happy that I survived COVID. I'm a COVID survivor, technically. And I have life. People have had COVID and they've died, and it's different for everyone. Everyone has different manifestations, different symptoms, different sequelas, and I just wanted to share my experience. The hardest part of my parosmia is that no one believed me at first. My mother and my brother, they were very joking and in disbelief that something as simple as, I don't know, like chicken breast or coffee smelled bad to me, and that I was going crazy, to the point that I got depressed and I got very anxious because no one was supporting me, no one was in my corner. It wasn't until more research came out and more COVID-19 patients, survivors, come out and said that they've been experiencing similar symptoms that I started to find solace in the fact that I'm not alone, that other people are experiencing this or something like this with me. In my unique case, again, I've said this many times, everyone develops COVID and it manifests in different ways, different symptoms, and they may have different sequelas. I am so grateful to be alive. I'm grateful that COVID did not take my life. But unfortunately, COVID did take, or part of it, did take part of my sense of smell and taste. Ever since I recovered from COVID, I have not been able to eat any meat, eat any major sources of protein, meat-based proteins, I guess I would say. And I have transitioned to a plant-based diet at the recommendation of my primary care doctor for not only the parosmia, but also for health-related reasons, because I had been putting off my health for a while now before the pandemic, and I needed to get back in shape. But new research and new COVID survivors, giving their input and their 2 cents on what they've been doing to help with the parosmia has given me hope. I watch a few YouTubers here and there, and also just miscellaneous channels of people and patients who've reported having had COVID and having developed parosmia, that they have been doing better. I don't want to scare anyone, but unfortunately the reality is that because it involves nerve damage, specifically olfactory nerve damage right here, that nerves take time. Nerves take time to heal. Of every cell in the human body, for example, skin cells, they're just constantly being made, constantly being shed. Nerves take a long time to heal, to grow back, to repair themselves, if they repair themselves. So nerve damage is scary, and that is technically what COVID-19 did to me with my olfactory nerve, and it's causing me to have parosmia. But the hopeful part of it is that there have been a few research studies, and also, again, like I said, COVID survivors that have been doing many different practices in order to train or retrain their sense of smell. It's called smell training. Smell training is when you basically just take little flasks of maybe essential oils or any smell profiles that you like to smell, or that has been supported by research that you can smell, and you just every day, hopefully 2 times a day if you're able to, you just take them to your nostrils, to your nares, and you just smell them one at a time. And try not to know what it is that you're smelling. You have to try to smell it and kind of think of what it is. You should try to remove the labels, but if not, you just turn the bottle away and try to guess. Aside from smell training, of course, daily exercise, playing with your diet, trying different dietary things, There's also some reports of using nasal saline lavages. In my case, I bought a neti pot. Here, I'll show you. Here we go. So this is the Neomed Nasoflow neti pot. I'm not sponsored. This is just my personal experience. It's a little teapot that you fill with water, and you can actually microwave it. Only 10 seconds at a time though. It's plastic. You don't want to burn it. You don't want to break it. And it comes with these little saline packets that are basically just sodium chloride, salt, and sodium bicarbonate, a very basic thing. And you just mix it in there. And the cool thing is that it's gravity assisted. So just like how this thing is, you would fill this with water, and with 1 to 2 packs, depending on how concentrated you would want the solution to be. You heat it up, warm it up in the microwave, and then once it's filled, because of its design, it's gravity assisted, and the point of it is just to clean your nasal passages. I don't think there have been studies, clinical studies, peer-reviewed studies on this. I've just been relying on personal accounts, family, friends, and also TikTok or other forms of social media that have used this and have found it to be helpful. Personally, even if you are struggling with parosmia, or if you do not have parosmia, this is great for cleaning your nasal passages. So the way it works is, once this is filled, you're just gonna wanna not lean your head back, because if not, it'll go down your throat technically. But you want it to go in your nasal passages. So once it's filled, you would go in one nostril and kind of tip it like this, and keep going on tipping it like that until you see it coming out of the other nair. And then once you're done with that, you would switch nostrils, whatever, and do the same thing, right? Until you're done with the solution. I've only done this once. The one time I did it, it helped a lot with clearing up my nasal passages, because I do struggle with congestion sometimes. It might just be allergies, but I definitely recommend this for anyone who has nasal congestion or suffers from allergies, or anyone who may have had COVID and is struggling with parosmia. Personally, it hasn't really helped me with my parosmia, but I'm going to keep trying and keep using it to see if maybe successive use will help me. With respect to smell training, I have 2 smell training kits that I didn't really make, I just bought. But I have this kit of Better Home and Gardens. I am not sponsored. Better Home and Gardens. And the smells that I like to use are Clove, which has been reportedly in peer-reviewed studies has been helpful. Geranium, don't believe that one's been helpful, but it just smells nice. It's flowers. I think rose might be a peer-reviewed study that supports rose, but not geranium. And lemon. But clove, definitely. I've read that clove is a good essential oil or a good smell to use for smell training. And the way you would smell train, I'm actually gonna do it right now, is just once or twice a day, you grab your smells, right? Open them, and I like to close one nair, kind of smell it like that, and then close the other nair, and smell it like that. Then when I'm done, kind of smell it like that, and that's it. That's smell training. It took 10 seconds, 15 seconds. That was one essential oil, but I'm not gonna do all of them, you get the point. But that's one of my kits. And this is my other smell training kit, which was actually my brother's gift to my mom for Christmas, I think, along with a oil diffuser. And it is Laguna Moon Premium Essential Oils. Now this one I like to use a lot because of the essential oils that are provided. There are quite a few that are actually reported in peer-reviewed studies to be effective in smell training for people who have anosmia or parosmia. Alright, hopefully it doesn't fall, oh god. Now, we have orange, lavender, eucalyptus, peppermint, tea tree, and lemongrass, right? Of these essential oils in this essential oil kit, lemongrass, tea tree, I believe peppermint, eucalyptus, and lavender have all been supported by peer-reviewed studies to be effective as smell training kits for people who are struggling with anosmia and parosmia. Orange, I'm not too sure. I'd have to double check, but definitely lavender, definitely tea tree, lemongrass, I believe peppermint and eucalyptus. But again, like with the other kit, you once or twice a day, you'd grab these essential oils. In this case, I'm getting lemongrass. The best thing would be to remove the labels. Remove the labels and try to just, based off the smell, guess what they are. But yeah, take off the cap, close one there. Smell it just like that for a little bit with your left nair. I have my left nair in this case. And then my right nair. Right? And then give it a nice sniff. And that's it for that essential oil. And then you would proceed sequentially or randomly or however you want, you know? And that's it. Also, very quickly, I don't know if I mentioned it, but I am not sponsored. This is just the kit that I use, Laguna Moon and Better Home and Gardens. I am not sponsored, but these are the ones that I use, okay? All right, so let's do a little review. Okay, so to review, I personally contracted COVID-19 in around late September. Once I developed symptoms and the incubation period was over, I decided to go get tested around mid-October, and I was officially diagnosed with having contracted COVID-19 in mid-October. And my sense of smell and taste started to return gradually around mid-November. And then the big bad boy, parosmia. 3 months later, after having recovered my sense of smell and taste, I started to notice that I had weird taste and weird smell, and this is what I discovered to be parosmia. Today, at the time that I am recording this video, it is April 5th, 2021, and I am still suffering from the effects of parosmia. Alright, and again, parosmia. If we break it up, it is par and osmia. Osmia having anything to do with smell, and par having to do with the paranormal, or just distorted, strange, weird, distorted smell. And parosmia is a sequela. Sequela to COVID. And if we break up sequela, it is the sequel, it is the aftermath, it is the unknown, or the known in some cases with other diseases, but it is what happens after having had a virus or a disease. And in my case, it's different with everyone. In my case, my sequela, my sequel, or aftermath, after doing calculations and stuff, I'm kidding. My sequela was parosmia, and I'm currently experiencing parosmia, and I'm currently dealing with parosmia. Now, what do I do to combat my parosmia, or to, get better, restore my sense of smell? So as we know, COVID-19 is a respiratory infection, and as such, it affects your lungs. But thankfully, my lungs are fine. I got checked out by my primary care doctor, and we're all good. But the respiratory system is connected to a bunch of things. And we breathe through our mouths, and we also breathe through our nose. In my case, I'm a heavy nose breather. I was a heavy nose breather before COVID. After COVID, I don't know if I've started mouth breathing, but I definitely still do breathe through both. But with breathing through our nose, where we warm up the air in our nasal passages so that it becomes nice and cozy in our lungs, we also smell certain smells. So in my case, COVID-19 being a virus, it attacked my olfactory nerve. And attacking my olfactory nerve, it did nerve damage, and now I have parosmia. Okay? So what am I doing to help my parosmia? Well, the first thing I'm doing is diet and lifestyle changes. So before the pandemic, I was very sedentary, I was very comfortable I had gotten in a relationship and I was going out all the time, and it just wasn't working out or eating as healthy as I used to. So I hadn't seen my medical doctor in a long time. My primary, I actually switched primaries after the pandemic. Anywho, when I saw my primary again after having had COVID, I told her about my parosmia, and she also did my blood work and found that I have very high cholesterol, or hyperlipidemia. So I'm just gonna write it here. This is my personal case, but I'm just sharing with you. Hyperlipidemia. And if we break this down, this is actually very fascinating. Lipid means fats, right? Emia means in your blood, or in your circulation, I would say, in your veins, or having to do with blood or circulation. God, I can't spell. Oof, I can't spell at all. And then hyper just means, you know, a lot. So I had a lot of fat in my blood, in my circulation, which is very bad, you know, clogged arteries. All of this could potentially lead to a stroke, a heart attack, and my untimely death, and I'm only 25 years old. So, having heard this, and also having been experiencing parosmia with different triggers, which include meaty proteins and other miscellaneous things, my doctor and myself decided that it'd be best for me to transition to a plant-based lifestyle, where I basically become a vegetarian. And it's been going great. It's been going great. And I feel great. So that's one thing. Dietary and lifestyle changes, right? The next thing, combating the smell, is if you want to get muscles and you want to get big, what do? You exercise, you train that muscle every day or every 2 days, what have you, right? You set up a routine. So since parosmia affected our smell, also parosmia and let's say anosmia, this applies to both if you've lost your sense of smell due to COVID, you should be doing smell training. Smell training. And again, smell training, you can just use essential oil kits, essential oils, or, you know, any handy smells you may have available. By that I mean perfume, cologne, or anything that you are able to smell. You could also use produce, foods, anything that you have handy. So smell training. And lastly, nasal lavage, which lavage just means to clean, using saline. And from my personal experience, I'm currently using the neti pot. But you can use any brand, any type of thing. It's just what I've read and what I've seen from others using it, and this is what I'm doing. Alright guys, that's all I have for you today. Please make sure to leave a comment if you've had COVID, or you know someone who's had COVID and they have similar sequelas to mine, or if they didn't know about sequela or parosmia. Please make sure to share this video, leave a like, and support. And yeah, please stay safe, please stay healthy, and please take care of yourselves.